Chinese animated movie you've probably never seen just crushed every animated film ever made. Crossing $1 billion at the box office is already a milestone few movies achieve. But Ne Zha 2 didn't just stop there. It soared all the way to $2.1 billion globally, becoming the 5th highest grossing movie of all time. But how is that even possible? How did an animated sequel that most of us had never heard of become the highest grossing animated movie ever? Well, the more I dug, the more interesting things got. And the more I realized that this might actually be the catalyst that pushes China to the throne of global animation. See, Ne Zha 2 was a sequel to 2019's Ne Zha, which was insanely successful in its own right, making north of $700 million at the box office and becoming China's highest grossing animated movie at the time. The story is based on the investiture of gods, which is one of the major literary works in Chinese culture, and the characters and story are as familiar to the Chinese as Hercules or Zeus might be to us in the West. The movies follow the story of a demon child that fights against his fate while befriending his supposed enemy, the Dragon Prince, as they go on a bit of a journey together. Imagine insane, epic, magical battles, gods and demons, and an unlikely hero's journey. To put the success of this movie into perspective though, Inside Out 2, which previously held the record of highest grossing animated movie just last year, earned around $1.7 billion worldwide. Ne Zha 2 completely crushed that by more than $400 million. It made more than Spider-Man No Way Home and Avengers Infinity War, which are both icons of blockbuster filmography, showing just how extraordinary this achievement actually is. But I didn't really understand the scale until I noticed that Ne Zha 2 grossed over $1 billion in China alone. And just in the first few weeks at that, becoming the fastest Chinese film to hit this milestone and the only movie ever to gross $1 billion or more in one country. Behind the staggering box office figures though lies a carefully orchestrated and executed production. Ne Zha 2 was produced by Chengdu Coco Cartoon, the same studio behind the original Ne Zha film. But that doesn't tell you the full story, because more than 4,000 people across 138 animation studios worked on Ne Zha 2. That takes a level of organization and cooperation that most massive companies would struggle with, let alone a moderately small studio. And it was completely made in China. The director actually dissing some international animation studios, saying that he tried to outsource some scenes but they never were up to the standard that he expected. That's pretty hilarious. Not to mention, this was produced on a pretty small budget of $80 million, while Inside Out 2's budget was $200 million. Donghua, which is Chinese animation, hasn't been at the level of Japan or the US historically, but clearly the gap is rapidly closing. But we'll talk more about that later on in the video, because we have to keep breaking down the why. And one of the big reasons is obvious. You just can't have an animated movie be this successful without groundbreaking animation. And Ne Zha 2 delivers. The movie was the result of 5 years of effort, and that massive crew paid off, because everyone has been raving about the visuals. Industry experts have praised its film for its revolutionary style, jaw-dropping action sequences, which is some of the best I've seen, and meticulous attention to detail. And as someone who has seen some of the best animation in recent history, whether it's Your Name, JJK, Arcane, or the Spider-Verse movies, I can attest that this is on par with the best of the best. The fluid motion, the cinematic composition, the atmospheric effects, it all makes every frame feel insanely alive. Even the intro scene is such a gorgeous style. What truly elevates Ne Zha 2 though, is its fusion of modern visual effects and traditional Chinese aesthetics. The animators drew direct inspiration from the ancient Dunhuang flying apsaras murals, which are part of the most celebrated artistic legacies of ancient China. Ne Zha's iconic 3 heads and 6 arms transformation in the movie is visualized using flowing, dissipating particle effects that create an ethereal, dreamlike atmosphere. One of the most revolutionary technical achievements in the movie is the development of the world's first dynamic ink wash rendering engine. Originally created for a 0.8 second scene where the Dragon King Ao Guang's weapon slices through the air, this technique simulates the fluid motion of ink diffusing on rice paper, something that took years of R&D to perfect. With this technique, even the most subtle details, from characters' skin texture to the flow of their clothing and hair, are imbued with this ink wash effect. As the producer Liu Wenjiang put it, if particle effects form the bones of Ne Zha 2, then the dynamic ink wash rendering engine injected its soul. So clearly this was pivotal for the style. Technology and animation alone weren't the keys though. A huge factor was how much the story resonated with audiences, both in China and abroad. On the Chinese side of things, the story is deeply rooted in beloved Chinese mythology. Ne Zha, a mythological figure in traditional Chinese folklore, known for his rebellious nature and unwavering courage, became a cultural symbol for resilience. What makes Ne Zha 2 especially powerful is how it channels centuries of Chinese thought into something that feels fresh, emotional, and relevant. The film draws from Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, and more. It's a story that reflects Chinese tradition, but it's told in a way that feels universal. Which is why international audiences, me included, loved it. Because at its core, it really just is a story about friendship, family, and taking fate into your own hands while challenging authority, which we can all relate to. This cultural resonance drew millions to cinemas and ignited a wave of excitement across social media, turning Ne Zha 2 into a legitimate nationwide phenomenon. The buzz surrounding its release was so intense that it legitimately resembled the fervor of K-pop fans. Some people saw it multiple times, others bought extra tickets just to push up the box office numbers. Social media platforms were flooded with discussions, memes, and coordinated campaigns to ensure the movie's success. This was far from passive consumption. It was active, coordinated audience engagement. Various companies unrelated to cinema were even in on the act, rallying behind Ne Zha 2 in a participatory form of nationalism. Snacks maker Weilong Foods recently paused operations to take 900 of its staff to see the film at a local cinema. Other domestic brands also made an effort to support the movie, including Chinese electric vehicle maker Zeekr, who offered cinema vouchers to their employees, while Chinese smartphone maker Xiaomi organized a group viewing for theirs. If you're Chinese and you weren't watching Ne Zha 2, it was akin to being unpatriotic. Another major contributor to Ne Zha 2's explosive performance was timing. This video is once again sponsored by the coolest snack brands, Tokyo Treat and Sakureko, two monthly snack box subscriptions that bring the taste of Japan right to your doorstep and make perfect gifts. First up is Tokyo Treat, which is all about modern, fun, and seasonal Japanese snacks. This month's box is themed Sakura Night Snack Fest, and it's packed with everything from Sakura Match wafers to Twilight truffle chips, and yes, the legendary matcha latte Kit Kats. Yo, this is good as hell. It's phenomenal. If you're into sweet, salty, or just the wildly unexpected, Tokyo Treat has something for you. Then there's Sakureko, which focuses more on traditional, artisan Japanese snacks. This month's theme is Moonlight Sakura, inspired by Yozakura, cherry blossom viewing at night. It comes with delicate treats like Sakura Dorayaki and Shrimp Senbei, plus a beautifully fragrant Sakura hibiscus tea that is delicious. Oh, and every Sakureko box comes with an exclusive household item. This month, it's a Sakura-themed wagashi plate. Like, look at how beautiful this is. Both boxes also include a beautifully designed cultural booklet filled with stories behind the snacks, tea pairing tips, and all allergen info. So if you've ever wanted to experience Japan from the comfort of your own home, this is your chance. Hit the link in the description, use my code for a discount, and treat yourself or someone else to a night under the cherry blossoms. The movie premiered during the Lunar New Year, China's peak movie-going season, giving it instant access to massive family audiences. Its release window was also strategically planned to avoid major competition. There really wasn't much else happening in cinemas, allowing it to dominate screens across the country. But perhaps just as important was the strong support it received from the Chinese government. Authorities promoted the film as a cultural achievement, gave it prominent screen placement, and celebrated its success in state media, all of which helped cement it as as a point of national pride. The Sichuan provincial government even contributed funding to the film's production as part of a poverty alleviating initiative. Some government-affiliated institutions organized mandatory group viewings, and reports of online censorship of critical reviews suggest that the state was invested in shaping a wholly positive narrative around the film's release. And I'm not surprised. Now, that's not to take away from the movie's insane success, because you can only control so much. Most of the success of the movie is purely because it's a great fucking movie that resonates deeply with Chinese culture, and it could significantly alter the hierarchy of power when it comes to animation around the world. See, historically, the US and Japan have been the biggest players in animation, but Ne Zha 2's historic success has undoubtedly positioned China as a serious player on the global animation stage. The movie has given studios a path forward for what success can look like. Beautiful animation blended with Chinese mythology, but in a way that's accessible and relatable to international audiences as well. And its insane box office performance serves as proof that Chinese studios can produce blockbuster animation capable of global appeal, which is so important because it'll likely attract more investment and talent to the animation industry in China. It's important to note though that the impact of Ne Zha 2 goes beyond a single movie. It signals a broader strategic shift. China's animation industry has been expanding rapidly, with the total output value growing from 88 billion yuan in 2013 to an estimated 300 billion yuan in 2023. This growth is backed by substantial investment, robust government support, and a rapidly expanding talent pool. For example, Beijing's Xisheng district invests 50 million yuan annually to support animation enterprises, reflecting how seriously the country is prioritizing the medium. And that momentum is already visible in the rise of Donghua. Shows like Link Click and Supercube have made waves internationally, praised for the cinematic storytelling, polished animation, and emotional depth. And now all eyes are on Lord of the Mysteries, the highly anticipated adaptation of one of China's most popular web novels, which looks amazing, by the way, just from the trailers they've released alone. These are just a few examples that reflect the upwards trend of quality and dedication that's already competing with the Japanese anime industry, while having its own unique flavor. And the thing is, with Japan's anime industry facing ongoing criticism over poor working conditions and similar issues cropping up in US productions like the Spider-Verse movies, which I talked about in a previous video, China could become a surprisingly attractive alternative. If Chinese studios continue scaling up with better pay, more structured pipelines, and government backing, it's not hard to imagine a future where top animation talent starts shifting east, but towards China, not Japan. Honestly, looking forward, Ne Zha 2 could be remembered as a landmark event, the catalyst that propelled Chinese animation into an era of unprecedented global influence, similar to Akira or Spirited Away for Japanese animation. It marks the beginning of a transformative chapter in animation history, where the epicenter of innovation and creativity may no longer reside solely in Hollywood or Tokyo, but increasingly in cities like Beijing or Shanghai. Ne Zha 2 isn't just another animated blockbuster. It's a declaration that the future of animation might just be written in Chinese ink and myth.